In today's video lecture, we shall cover the following topics. We shall start with concept of values. What is meant by value? What are the different type of values? How are values formed? We will also talk about values and behavior, and briefly we shall also talk about the values of Indian managers. And if we have time today, then we will cover ethical decision making. As I explained to you in the teaser video which I uploaded, that values are actually long lasting beliefs which you hold very dear to your heart. Value is something which you don't want to give up. Value is something, मूल्य, मूल्य, value. Value is something which helps you take a decision which appeals to you, which to your mind is the best decision in a situation, and a decision which is lawful, which is legal, which does not impinge on your conscience. A question has been asked to me many times by students in the previous batches. Sir, suppose there is something which is illegal, but it is for the greater good of people. Is it ethical? No. The answer is no. Remember this. Whatever is illegal is unethical. We can keep on discussing about this thing and the cows will come home. But my teaching, and this is what my gurus taught me, and this is what my 33 years of experience in corporate taught me, is whatever is unlawful, whatever is illegal is unethical. It's a very interesting subject. I hope you will enjoy today's session. The way we have tried to structure this course is that there are 4 units, and I would try to cover these 4 units in roughly 40 lectures. So I will devote roughly 10 lectures to each unit, and each unit, that means, will be one lecture will be done on 1-day basis, and we will try to cover every day a lecture in around 8 slides to 15 slides. I will be in a position to send you these slides in advance when we start to do our Zoom sessions. And when you come to the class, I would like the sessions to be more interactive. Okay? And I hope to send you this first lecture in the next 3 to 4 days. Today being the 17th of July. It's a very interesting subject, and this subject requires that it becomes a two-way process. So let's move on to the next slide. Okay guys, since we are trying to understand the importance of values, business ethics and other things, at the same time we also have a course, a very structured course prepared by the IP University academic group, and I believe that we also have to appear in an exam, and the intent is to gain knowledge, the intent is also to do well in the exams. So my lecture will be a mix of trying to make the lecture interesting, but at the same time also to cover all aspects of the subject so that you gain knowledge with a view to improve yourself, to make you rich academically, and also to score well in exams. The book which I have used is normally not used in the BBA course. It is a book which is normally used in MBA course, or it's even used by research scholars. It's by Govindarajan, Natarajan and Senthil Kumar. It is called Professional Ethics and Human Values. That's the name of the book. I will be able to share the book name with you. Don't have to buy the book. It's maybe available in the library. So what has Govindarajan said? What has Govindarajan and his colleagues Natarajan and Senthil Kumar said about values? What are values? Suppose you are faced you are going through a financial process, and in the financial process you need to draw money from the bank. Okay, if you have to draw money from the bank, there is a set protocol. You will write out a check, you will go to the bank, the cashier will give you the money, he will give you a teller and then the money, and whatever you will collect the money and give it to the person you desire to give the money to, right? Or you could transfer the amount electronically in a safe and secure manner. If you're working in an organization, let us say you are an accountant, then there is a template, TEMPLATE. There is a template provided. So your vendors will be paid after 30 days, and their money will be transferred electronically into their account. So this is a template. So these authors have explained it in a very beautiful manner. They have said values provide us a unique template. So just like you have a template to transfer money, it says values provide you a unique template. जैसे टेम्पलेट में लिखा होता है अब यहाँ जाओ, अब यहाँ जाओ, अब ये करो, अब ये करो. Suppose you order something, a kind of a furniture from Pepper Fry, and then you want to set up the furniture on your own. You will follow the template. It will be written, you do this, you do this, you do this. So he says, or the author say, value provide us a unique template which we use subconsciously. जानबूझ के यूज नहीं करते, सबकॉन्शियसली यूज करते हैं कि हाँ सर ने आज ये बात बोली, तो इस बात को मैं कैसे रीइंफोर्स करूं या कैसे मैं इसको वैलिडेट करूं सबकॉन्शियसली. आप ये भी सोच सकते हो कि डू आई नीड टू वैलिडेट व्हाट सर हैज सेड? नो, sir must have researched the subject, he must have researched the topic, so maybe I don't have to do it. So it is in your subconscious. Okay, values are like that. I was in London, and as I was walking down the street, I found a note. A currency note on the road. And I was going for a walk along with my English friend's son, and that young boy was only 10 years of age. When I saw the note, I said, here is a note. Would you like to pick it? He says, why should I pick it? It's not mine. It's not mine, he said. It's a value. He said, it's not mine. I will not pick up what is not mine. It's a value. Whether it is good, wise, unwise, I'm not commenting upon it. But immediate response was, this is not mine. This is not mine. Once when I was working in Exxon Mobil, and we had a regional leader, and the regional leader fell foul with his main managers. All the managers combined together, and then they said, we would write an application against him. We would represent to the top management about his unruly behavior. I said, I will not do it. He has been my senior in my previous company, and he brought me to this company. Immediately I said it. This is my value. Their cause was also just. The leadership did not act in a manner in which leadership should have acted. That is also a value, positive value. And they wanted to protest, right? My value is, this is the person who brought me in, so I can't be disloyal to him. So everybody has his own value, right? It's beautifully explained. So it is like a unique template. Value also means an inbuilt mechanism. Inbuilt mechanism that distinguishes the right from the wrong. This can be looked into a social context. This can be looked into an environmental context. This can be looked into any context. A person's attitude and behavior in day-to-day life in any situation is largely governed by values. Is largely governed by values. You are eating in a restaurant. And you have ordered a very large portion which you are not able to finish off. So should you just leave it there? You have lot of food which is left. Should you throw it in the dustbin, or should you put it in a tiffin, put it in the fridge and consume it in the evening? Or should you collect it, go out, feed it to a cow or a dog? Once my grandmother was at home, and after we had finished dinner, there was one chapati left. And I told my mother, I will take this chapati and I'll feed it to a cow. My grandmother said, if you have to feed it to a cow, you feed it to a cow right now. You can't feed it to the cow tomorrow. गाय को बासी रोटी नहीं देते. It's her value. To me, it doesn't matter, Cow which is eating grass, if I feed that cow a chapati which is 1 day old, to her 1 day old is stale. वो नहीं देना. Okay? So a person's attitude and behavior in day-to-day life in any situation is largely governed by values. And I explained to you, values are significant, they are long-lasting beliefs or ideals. Is there anything like a collective value of a nation? We will find out. So I have dwelt upon two things, that value is a unique template that our mind uses subconsciously, right? Number one. Number two is, it's an inbuilt mechanism which distinguish the right from the wrong. You have to remember these two things. Okay. Now that in the last slide I have explained to you the concept of values and I have told you they are long lasting beliefs, let us go one step further. Ethics. ऐसे आपने सुना होगा, ethics committee has been formed. There were a lot of bunglings in Board of Cricket Control of India, so much so that Supreme Court had to intervene, and Supreme Court appointed a committee under the leadership of a retired Supreme Court judge, and they set out a code of ethics in which they made several rules. Okay, there cannot be a president or a secretary more than 2 terms of BCCI. After that, there will have to be a cooling off period, something like that. So today, Saurav Ganguly may have to step down from the position of president of BCCI. Why? Because he has been the president of Cricket Association of Bengal for more than 6 years or 8 years. So he has to go for a cooling off period. So ethics, जैसे वैल्यूज पर्सनल होती हैं, इथिक्स भी पर्सनल होती हैं, लेकिन इथिक्स जैसे हम यूज करते हैं रोजमर्रा में इन डे टू डे टॉक, वी रिलेट इथिक्स मोर विद ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. दिस इज द कॉमन इन द कॉमन पार्लेंस, बट एक्चुअली इथिक्स इज अ वे values are acted out. So if you have certain values, you will act in a particular manner which will be considered ethical or unethical. Personal values, जैसे हमने कहा है, these are conceptions of what an individual regards as good, bad or desirable. Ethical behavior is acting or doing in a way which is consistent with your personal values. जैसे if suppose you have a personal value of saying that you will treat everyone fairly, this is your value, so it will act out that you will not distinguish when you are judging or evaluating the performance of someone, if the someone is close to you or someone is not close to you. Someone has gone to the same college as you have gone and you will be biased. You will not show that kind of a behavior, or you will not use that yardstick in arriving or judging that person. Okay, लेकिन ये इतना आसान नहीं है. Sometimes values may become oversimplification. In fact, many a time very difficult to apply these values. For example, let me give you I am a salesperson in a store. and I have to sell packaged food product, and there is a food product in which the expiry date, I want to sell something today and the expiry date is tomorrow. So if I tell the customer, ma'am or sir, please, if you are taking this food product home, consume it today. It's a branded product, it's a packaged product, because the expiry date is tomorrow. 99.9% chances he will not take it. Even if he has to consume it today, he will say, no, give me the fresh product. And I have lot of stock of old product, or product which will expire anytime soon. And there is no policy of replacing expired product by the company which supplied me this product. So my store will make a lot of loss, right? And my owner of my store says, Sudhir, I am not in a position to bear all this loss. My loyalty is to customer. I need to tell him that this product is going to expire. It's going to expire in 2 days time. My loyalty is also to the shopkeeper who gave me salary even during the time, even when there was a lockdown. So you see, organizations, big organizations, so that you don't fall at any time into any trap wherein you have to choose between two values. They have a code of ethics in which they will sell. For example, Sears store will always say, in case a product is about to expire, you need to segregate them, put them in a different shelf, and give a kind of a discount on that product, and you need to say expiring soon. Business ethics. Business ethics, to give you a definition, it is an application of general ethics or general ethical ideas to business behavior. It helps to solve complex moral dilemmas. So I've given you the example of BCCI. If you go to the website of Infosys or HCL, you will find there is a code of conduct, an ethical code of conduct. If you go out with a supplier to eat, who should pay? Should you allow the supplier to pay? And if you allow him to pay, should you pay the next time? Can you accept gifts? Expensive gifts from your suppliers? These are all part and parcel of ethics. I hope you have understood value and ethics. We will deal with it in further detail. But right now I want to take you to the concepts of values. I want you to understand what this is. Don't worry if your mind is a bit confused as to what is value, what is ethics. These are two things which are very closely linked. Just as in the next slide we will talk about culture, we will talk about society. See, gradually from individual we are moving to organization, from organization we are moving to culture, we are moving to society. This is the beauty of this subject. We start from the atomic level, we move to the molecular level, then we move to the body level, then we use to the group of bodies, teams, societies. Let's go to the next slide. Okay students, now let's move from a single person, organization, so that means values and ethics. Let's also try to understand what is meant by culture and what is meant by society. समाज के नियम, कल्चर, सभ्यता, समाज और सभ्यता. Very filmy word, right? You have seen that we often say society is like this. What is happening in Rajasthan, where there is a lot of political turmoil in Rajasthan, there is a lot of juicy things going on in Rajasthan. Viewers are very interested in that. In the process, they have also even forgotten that some of the parts of the country are reeling under flood. Bihar, Assam, Northeast is reeling under flood. But society, we say, it is said, I heard this, from many people. Society is more bothered about what is happening between fight of two political groups of the same party in Rajasthan, rather than they want to know about what is happening in our country, where people are under tremendous stress and strain because of floods. So what is society? Samaj kya hai? It's very simple. Society, it's a system of interrelationship. It is a system of interrelationship which connects individuals together. It's a system of interrelationship which connects individuals together. So we say British society. People in Britain, all of them, an outsider will say this is a British society. But within Great Britain, people say we are Welsh society. We are not like Londoners. We are Welsh. Somebody will say no, we are not Welsh. We are Scots. Somebody will say we are from Ireland. We are an Irish society. So within the same society, there can be many societies. India is a society. But society is a system of interrelationships which connects individuals together. So there could be a British society, French society, US society, and a society could include millions of people. When the mankind started its first steps towards civilization, they formed societies. There were hunting societies. A group of people, men and women, lived together. They would hunt together. Some people will stay back to look after the women and children. They formed societies. So societies have been there since time immemorial. All societies, first of all, there is interrelationship, okay, and all societies are united by the fact that their members, they are organized in a structured social relationship according to a unique culture. Abhi thoda, let me explain it to you. The members of the society are organized in a social relationship. There are structures. Let us take the case of an apartment or a group housing society of 100 flats. There are 100 flats, 100 families who are occupying that particular group housing society. They are interdependent on one another. They have common area, common parking area. Sometimes parking is earmarked, identified, defined, sometimes it is not. Lifts are common. The transformer which is connecting the main grid to the building complex is common. The water connection is common, right? The security is common. So there is an interrelationship, right? Just like there is a housing society, there is a society of citizens of Delhi. There is a society of citizens of, let us say, North India. There is a society of India. Indians as a citizenry is a society. You have to understand culture, sabhyata जिसे हम कहते हैं, it cannot exist without societies. Suppose there was no society, there could not be a culture. Some people say in this group housing society, the culture is not good. Children, when they are playing, they are using abusive language. Children, when they are playing in the open field or in the ground, they are using abusive language. This society does not respect privacy. It does not respect that you should not smoke in public, because in the common hall, in the society hall, I saw people smoking. This society lacks in culture. Okay. So we could have no language in to express ourselves. We could have no sense of self-consciousness, and our ability to think or reason would be severely limited if there was no culture and if there is no society. Society and culture are interlinked. So society, I have explained to you, it is a system of interrelationship which connects individuals together. Let's now try to understand in a better way as to what is culture. It is often heard older people, people of older generation are saying the culture is deteriorating. The youngsters are lacking in culture. The generation which is complaining, when that generation was young, their previous generation used to say the culture in this country is dying. So people have very phony notions about what is culture. Everybody has his own notion of culture. But yes, culture of a society does exist and it is seen from the outside. People people worldwide think of India when they will think of Indians. If you're working in a foreign country, they'll say India as a society puts great value on family. They even go travel several miles to look after their old parents 3 or 4 times a year. Great culture. So this is the perception of a culture of a society. Okay, let's try to understand as to what is meant by culture. In the last slide, we have largely dwelled upon society, culture. This concept of culture is among the most widely used notions in sociology. By the way, on culture and society, I have reference from a book called Sociology by Professor Anthony Giddens. It's a book which is considered to be a milestone in the study of sociology. And I have read the book, and most of my content on culture and society is drawn from there. You can have a look in your library, and if you don't have, I have two copies. I can give it to some of you, but I have tried to include in the final PPTs which I'll give you, which I normally give, and I also give you all my notes in the form of a book in PDF format, a digital book. I will cover a lot of portion from this. So Anthony Giddens in his book titled Sociology says that uh, culture refers to the way of life of members of society or of groups within society. It includes how people dress up, what are their marriage customs, what is their family life, what is their pattern of work, what are their religious ceremonies, what are their leisure pursuits. You must have heard that the culture of this country is very high. The Japanese culture is very high. When we are talking of culture in this, we are talking of higher things of mind, art, literature, music, painting. Culture includes all these activities but much more. You go to the southern part of India, travel to the state of Tamil Nadu and Kerala, and you will see even in small districts, even in small cities, small villages, fine temples with great archaeology. The artistry and the way there are carvings on the entrance door and the general look of temples is superb. How much time and money and efforts these people or the rulers of these small villages or the headman of that small village must have spent to make this temple. Very fine temples, beautiful, exquisite, and you need to go to see and believe. You go to Mirzapur. Don't think of the serial Mirzapur, which was on Amazon or what have you. You go to Mirzapur, Varanasi, Bhadoi. You see the way the workers, the artisans, they work to make a carpet. That is culture in motion. So culture is your family life, your marriage customs, your pattern of work, your religious ceremonies, and much more. A culture is reflected in your day to day life. Varanasi, when you go, the culture is of holiness. When you go to the Ganges, the bells from the temples which are coming and the morning prayers, you feel so nice. And as the day progresses, when you go to the road, when people start spitting the beetle juice, pan खा के जो रखते हैं on the road, that is another form of culture. So a culture comprises both intangible aspects and the tangible aspects. Intangible means something which cannot be seen or heard or felt. Your belief, your idea, your values, they form culture. Also, your art, your drama, your paintings, your work, it also forms culture. So culture is both tangible and intangible. But why are we studying culture, society, tangible, intangible? इससे आपको क्या मतलब है? This is because when you tomorrow you go and you will be working in the real world, you will come across people from various cultures. If you go to Mumbai, and you have gone into a shop and you have not purchased anything, after negotiating with the shopkeeper and you go out, the shopkeeper's boy will call you by whistling, or he'll make a very ugly kind of a sound to call you back. And if you are from Delhi, you'll feel insulted. But this is their culture. They don't mean to disrespect you. He will say like that. The shopkeeper will call you, and he's not trying to insult you. Believe you me, it's a culture. So as managers, as people who will go to work, as knowledge workers and as wisdom workers, you will to understand cultures of various societies, and you need to make your success path, you need to make your model, your market model, your economical model based upon the culture. Suppose, for example, in Uttarakhand, normally the government workers don't have a culture of anything called breakfast. They leave for their office at around 9 o'clock after taking a full meal. So if you try to bother them too much about selling your Kellogg's breakfast cereal, it will not cut much ice, because all the people who work in the government office in Pauri Garhwal, when they leave their homes, they eat a full lunch. They eat rice, dal, sabji and roti. And then they don't have any lunch. They will just have coffee, or so not coffee, they will have a cup of tea, or maybe some matti or a biscuit or a samosa in the evening. Then they will come back and they will have an early dinner. This is the way the society lives. They will eat home cooked food. They don't carry lunch to the office, because as such the temperature is quite low, the climate is cold, and if they carry lunch from home at 9 o'clock and they want to eat the tiffin at 1:30, it would be cold. It's not good to eat rice which is cold along with dal which is cold, right? But you could think of an invention, which could help them to reheat their food. So this is why we need to understand. Also, we need to understand that if we have known somebody's culture, we will be mindful of his sensibilities. We will be able to respect his sensibilities, so as to not to hurt him, so as to endear ourselves to him, so as to make friends. That's why it's very important to learn about culture. Thank you. In line with what I pontificated or what I explained to you in the last slide, let us try to understand what are two main cultures of a society. Professor Gert Hofstede, he defines culture as the collective programming of the mind. Collective programming of the mind, which distinguishes one group or category of people from another. So if there is one group which is behaving in a certain manner, interdependent relationship, and if that is different than the other group, then there are two distinct cultures. You understand? So if there is a society and there are invaders who come and invade that society, they mount a war upon that society, and if all members run away helter-skelter, that is a different culture. And if the members of that society, they unitedly face the invaders and they match them blow by blow, and they are willing to even give up their lives. It's a different culture. So there is a collective programming of minds. So there are essentially two types of culture, and Hofstede said this in around 2001. He was also a sociologist and an anthropologist. He said individualism and collectivism are two kind of these cultures. Individual, ekatmakta, individualism, individualistic societies, they tend to exhibit more self-centered and self-enhanced traits, wherein the focus is on individual self as a source of identity and accomplishment. American culture, for example, or culture in some of the countries where there's which are developed, you will see the emphasis is I have come to this earth and I have got this education, and then I need to ensure my survival, the way I thrive. I am responsible for my fate and I must achieve what I am destined to achieve. In the process of my achievement, if my brothers and sisters they come in my way, I am willing to overlook that. If in the process of my achievement my team's interest takes a backseat, so be it. Individualistic societies, I will score a century and I'll not lose my wicket, because if I score a century and I don't lose my wicket, my average run will go up. But the need of the team is that I should score fast. Even in the process I may lose a wicket. But if I lose my wicket, my selectors will drop me for the next match. None of you who's saying that I should score fast are willing to give me a guarantee that if in the process of scoring fast runs I lose my wicket, I'll be retained in the next one day international. Individualistic society. These societies are less willing to accommodate to group needs and pressures. There are group needs and pressures, these societies are less willing to accommodate. Sachin Tendulkar was playing a gem of an innings and he was about to reach his double century. Rahul Dravid, one of the most unselfish captains India ever saw, he declared the innings. Sachin was left a bit disappointed. He later on admitted he was disappointed. Some people say he was frowning, he was not. Sachin also a great team player. But Rahul Dravid, he said his team, he did not bother or did not care about what the press will write about him. Everybody will denounce him as somebody who denied Sachin Tendulkar a double century. He did not bother because he needed to declare the innings, because he needed to give his fast bowlers at least 15 overs with the new ball in a fading light so that they could take some wickets. Individualistic. So Dravid is an example of collectivism, a culture of collectivism. Anybody who plays for his glory, personal glory, is an example of individualism, individualistic culture. There are societies which are individualistic. I am not saying these societies are bad. Suppose you are the person who has come out of your village and you have become an office assistant in Government of India. And then all you are doing is you are bringing one villager one by one every year to your house, ensuring that he gets a job, and once he goes out of your house you are bringing another one. Because you believe that God gave you an opportunity to rise. You became an office assistant in Government of India after clearing a UPSC examination. For assistant level, which is called assistant administrative officer, you need to pass an exam which is not conducted by SSC but by UPSC board. But there could be somebody else who would think that God has provided me with this chance to have become an AAO. I want to become an IAS officer. I still want to compete, and I'll prepare for IAS. And after I finish my day's work, I will go to the coaching center and learn. I'll pay the fees. I'm not too bothered about getting my cousins or my brothers and sisters from the village to my house. Individualism. Is it bad? Is it good? We can't say. You have to decide. But some societies used to put premium on individualism, like the American society, because you have to become a star to shine, or collectivism. You have to decide. It's entirely the call of a person based upon his values, based upon the prevailing culture of the society. Just like we discussed individualism as a culture before, collectivist culture, a culture which is collectivist, it values social relationships more. Social relationship. It gives priority to group performance. It respects the group processes and group decisions. अपने ग्रुप का सम्मान करते हैं, ये देखते हैं कि मैं भी कुछ अचीव कर रहा हूं, मेरे साथ मेरा सारा ग्रुप अचीव करे. मैं सेल्स हेड हूं और इन माय टीम देयर आर 5 sales representative. I am their sales manager and I also have a territory which I look after. I also have my sales target. I will try to achieve my group target. I will also try to achieve my personal targets also. And I will also be interested in ensuring that my group not only achieves the target, it is also a cohesive group. The group meets together. It bonds well. The group is a happy group. The group gets respect from the management. This is collectivist culture. Sometimes in the process, personal performances can suffer. A star in the group may feel, a star sales representative or a salesman may feel that the boss is merely interested in the group. In a management meeting, he only talks of group. I am the one who contributes 30% to the sale of the group, and others contribute only 5-6% each. I am the superstar. He may feel bad in the collectivist culture. Why? Because he is a brilliant performer, and it is natural that he will feel that if he is the one who is performing so brilliantly, it should be appreciated and it should be conveyed to the top management. So collectivist culture and individualist culture, they have all their pros and cons. But one thing is there are more harmonious relationship in collectivist society. And any society which gives priority to harmonious relationship, it is a collectivist society. There is more cohesion, there is more belongingness. But such groups are less successful in keeping the star performers happy. And collectivist cultures are not likely to take much risks, whereas individualistic culture, they are less risk averse. They can take risk because if they take risk, it will impact them only. It will not impact other people. And in individualistic cultures, people form new groups quickly, fast, and members are from diverse group. So individualism and collectivism both have their advantages and their disadvantages. So today we have discussed values, we have discussed ethics, we have discussed society, we have discussed culture, we have discussed individualism, we have discussed collectivism. That's all in today's lecture. Tomorrow we will start with a new slide in which I will talk about the dominant culture. What is the dominant culture of some of the societies? I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thank you.